Okay. We are live. We are going. I'm here. Yeah. In a little earlier than normal. Actually home. Actually got already settled in and everything. A little earlier than normal. So it was a little quicker to actually get in here, which is good. Because I don't actually mean to keep starting these things all the time at like 6, 7 o'clock at night. That's not my intention. While we start, we're going to run the channel update, and for what it's worth, I'm working on the playlists, like a lot of them. And I'm trying to get it to where anything that we talk about as I create the chapters, they have a playlist to go into. And as I'm doing that, right now I have it set up like there's a loose collector playlist for all the stuff, not very much to be fair, that we've talked about with that. There's a McFarlane playlist. There's any time that we've talked about things like Street Fighter, there's a Jade playlist and things of that nature. There's also a lot of the old videos that I've been coming across that don't really have a spot on the channel anymore, but were still something that I was like, hey, I may as well like give them some sort of recognition playlist. So I did. I did things like the Sons of Khan, which was a long time ago. This show was Sons of Khan, and it was me and a group of guys, mostly Fandom Night members, but a couple other guys too, that were playing Star Trek Online. That's what it was. We played Star Trek Online. We talked about new updates. We talked about news. We talked about like tutorials and whatnot. Hey, this is what we're discovering in real time. This is how it works. This is how you can do the things that you need to do and things of that nature. So that playlist is up amongst many others. The Controller Pile-Up podcast that used to be hosted here is on there, and so on and so forth. It's kind of wild. Like, it's been wild to make all of this stuff. There is not another chair. I don't think we have anything that showed up recently that is another chair unboxing. And I don't know when the next one would be, in all honesty. What's going on? What's going on? But yeah, that's pretty much it. I will, just for the sake of... minor thing. Shaggy is on the way. I know that's a weird thing to just, like, say, but he is. Let's see, I gotta go to my channel here. Gotta go to my playlists. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a Loose Collector playlist now. There's a Controller Pile-Up playlist now. There's a Storm Collectibles playlist, a Sons of Khan. There's a live gaming playlist from back when this was literally a streaming channel, when I was just like hanging out and playing different games. There's a Play Arts Kai list, which right now only has one video in it. But the reason I made it its own list is because I didn't want to necessarily lose that video in the span of the stuff that's being posted. And I figure that for what it's worth, I'll go over the other ones that I have so we can at some point talk a little bit more about Play Arts and my problems with them and what I also like about them. I have a Mondo playlist, Brutal Realms, because, look, I've already got like 4 of their figures on orders, so we're going to be talking about them. Jack's Pacific got a playlist. There's a Toy Topics playlist. That is just when we talk about stuff, topics. We talk about packaging, whatever, like things of that nature. I did an entire video talking about capes and standards. We have a Frazetta Icons list, NECA list, Playmates list, Loyal Subjects list. We have a Pickups playlist, which is just any time that I went to conventions or something like that, picked things up, looked around, did window shopping. That's what that list is. There's a Jada Toys list. A Conan the Barbarian list is any time that we just talked about Conan or reviewed anything Conan or something that still is kind of part of that universe, like Red Sonja as well. A Super 7 list, Marvel Legends, McFarlane. There's an action figure photography list that there's a couple videos talking about photography. There's a Street Fighter list, Dragon Ball list, Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, TMNT. There's Dumbface Skeletor, which is all the funny skits. There's a Sentai and Power Rangers, Masters of the Universe, Pokemon, Gundam. There's a show called Fandom Rant. That list is there for me. I'm going to download all 3 of the videos and then cut them into segments, see what I actually care to keep, turn them into videos, post them here, add them to lists that make sense, and then delete the rest of it. It was a show that was very short-lived. For a while, this channel was something called Fandom Rant, and I would just come on, take random topics, and just rant about fandom stuff. It didn't really take off. I never quite felt 100% about what I was doing, so I walked away from the show very, very fast. There's a Star Wars. There's random topics. That's things that I really don't know where to put right now, but it talks about different things, and I just put them in there because I really don't know where they go in terms of lists yet. There's an anime list, movies and series, D&D, gaming, comics, which is the list that I'm currently trying to sort through because I know that it's not necessarily right. The collection list is all the toys we have talked about, period. Like all of them. There's a Star Trek list. There's a list for the old show An Hour In. That's where I played an hour of a video game and then determined whether or not I cared to spend any more of my life on it. That's literally what it was. I would take 1 hour, play the game for an hour, talk about if that hour grabbed me or if this is like a slow start game and I don't have time for it right now, and then moved on. It's not necessarily a fair show. I think I did 3 solid episodes, but it never felt like it was going to work 100% because my intent was to say, hey, we all have busy lives. Do these games grab you in the first hour? Is it worth playing right off the bat? But like being realistic, there are some games that I absolutely love, like Persona 4. You got to be like 2.5 hours into that game before it even really gets started. So I don't necessarily feel like that was a fair show, so I stopped it very quick. There's the Days Off vlog, all 33 videos that I was able to find. There's the suggested AMV and fan music videos list. And the last thing on there is the very, very old GarageBand stuff. And that is what I've been working on. I know that was a lot, but like I've been doing the playlists. I'm trying to get them 100% finalized. It's a very slow process. I have to listen to the videos sometimes to kind of figure out where they actually belong, and then I'm kind of placing them in. They're getting done. And I don't think I have too much left to add to those playlists. But the entirety, when this is done, the entirety of every video that has ever been done on this channel will be accessible in some way or another. The only thing that won't be easily accessible, you would have to go to my channel and go to my live tabs. That's where these videos are going to sit. They're not going to get a playlist. That doesn't really make sense because these are all broken into chapters and then added to video lists and whatnot anyways. So the live tab will have all of these videos. If you ever miss a live and you want to just see the live, you could do that. And that is the channel update. This was a bigger channel update than I'm used to throwing down. Let's see. Did you see they have a 30th anniversary 90s movie in comic form on Big Bad Toy Store? Like, what do you mean by that? I assume you're talking about Turtles. But if you're talking about the comics art book record thing, I saw that today, but I didn't see like figures or anything like that necessarily that I can remember. Like there was a Turtles book thing like for Ronin, like a box set, and then there was the this could be what you're talking about, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original motion picture special edition 35th anniversary comic book thing. If that's a comic book, if it's the IDW comic book, I have that. Like I have it back when they released it with the DVDs or whatever. So it probably I probably skimmed right by it and didn't even think about it. but I did see it. What I'm actually really interested in, I've been talking about it for a while, is I'm interested in kind of finding access to the Larry Hama comic books for G.I. Joe. I've often been curious to see how those go. What are we at? We're at 10 minutes, and DC has 1. So let's set up that question, shall we? I don't think there's much left. Oops. Yeah. Wow. There's 2 items left in that. So we have and that is it. And then we will have finished off all the DC multiverse that I currently have. And I don't know, I think there's a Hawk Girl on the way, and that's it, I think. I don't think I have anything set back for that right now. Some 77 Spider-Mans from Walmart are getting canceled and delayed. I saw that. Mine just got delayed. It just got delayed. And I'm a little worried about that. Because there's a real reason I'm worried about that. Them delaying that, and this drives me crazy in all actuality. See, they delayed my Faker and then canceled him like a couple weeks later. Then I started seeing Faker appear in Walmarts. And I was like, crap, I could have just waited and I could have just bought him. Not that I can. I don't really have like random money right now. My stuff is getting kind of tight. So I did still pass on it. I picked up a couple things, but like, hey, like I say all the time, $20 spent here is $20 you can't spend here. I saw a couple things that I definitely wanted that I've been waiting forever to get my hands on. I prioritized those. I assume since there's an entire rack of fakers, they will still be there. But yeah, but yes, I did see that it was getting delayed. Mine has been delayed, and we'll see what happens with that. Ultra Shaggy. Shaggy is on the way. I got a notice today from Big Bad that he is on the way. Some think it may have to do with Walmart trying to pad out the new displays. It could. It very well could. Those could start showing up on the displays, and if they do, I guess I will just buy it from there and cancel my Spider-Man. I don't know. I wanted to ask if you liked the Mega Man cartoon because it's getting a Blu-ray. So look, yes, but that's tricky. See, that Mega Man cartoon, I know, is bad. Like, I know it. I remember thinking that it was bad when I watched it as a kid. And yet I still watched it. Like, all of it. Would I want it? Like, to own it? To see it again? How much would it cost? Is that a fair question? Because that's probably the real question, if I'm being honest. That's probably the real question as to whether or not I would want it. So I don't know. It's neat that it's going to be a thing, but like, I don't know. And that was you responding to that, so okay. An update on X-Men 97 Sentinel has been delayed or pushed back to December of this year. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Give me a minute to guarantee my money is in place, which is fine by me because I got too many on pre-order between September and November. Also, I got a weird message from Hasbro that really confused me. It said that Slice and Dice was being processed right now, but It also said that Slice and Dice was being delayed till August 6th. Now, I don't know what the battle plan is for Hasbro, but I got a feeling that's a typo. Because if it is delayed till August 6th, then I guess I will get my Slice and Dice next year. Unless they plan to load Slice and Dice into the DeLorean and send it back to me. In that case, I guess I already have it? No. So, yeah. What? I love the Double Dragon cartoon, and I have it on Blu-ray. Pank is probably thinking, what the... Right, exactly. Okay, oh my. These just hit a tie. Bizarro and Jade are at a tie. What are we sitting at right now? Currently, and I can only trust YouTube to a point, currently we have 9 people hanging out, so we will continue to give that a little more time, because currently we are only at 6 votes, which means there could be 3 people that have not voted. Well, there went 1 just now. So, yeah. I don't know how that's going to turn out. But, yeah, so far Jade is winning. Jade is really winning now, which will be fine. Jade is one of those things like... I got her. Now I'm wondering if it's going to become a problem that I got her. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. It seems like she's on the verge of winning, and we'll talk about why it could be an issue that I have her now. But we'll see. We'll see where we get when we get there. Yes, the real Jade. Yes, absolutely. Not Fire. So you definitely remember that fiasco. Always go by the date on the Hasbro product page unless otherwise. It's coming out when the date says it's coming out. Email has to be a typo. Right. It's so wild. Like, when I seen it, I was like, that can't be right. I was so confused. I was like, August 6th? Wow, that is a hardcore delay. Like, that is the hardest core delay that I think I have ever come across. They were like, look, I know we said it's coming at the end of August. It'll be here next year. like that's hardcore. I don't know many toys that have been delayed that hard. Okay, so we are, I think we're evened out here. I think we're at 8 votes. Jade is 1, and I think we're going to call it. Yeah, Jade won. So Jade is going to be the first figure of the night, which is pretty cool. Now listen here, Dragon Man. You got to get out of my way. I'm trying to get something. You can't be standing on the boxes while I'm trying to get something. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. We're going to talk about that too. All right, look, let's go ahead and start this off, shall we? Here we go. Jade. McFarlane Toys. Here we go. DC Multiverse. Let's talk about it. This is Jade. Right here. This is her. This is what Jade looks like, depending on what time frame you are talking about. But this is Jade. See Jade? See Jade right there? See how Jade is not Fire? That's a pretty real distinction. Because, man, did I mess up. I took her off the shelf, by the way. There's already a short talking about it and everything. She had to go. That figure was terrible. It was terrible. I hated it. Like, I hated almost everything about it. And the longer it sat on the shelf, the more I looked at it, the more I was like, that figure is terrible. This is different. This, Jade, right here, is the daughter of Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern. Comics can get complicated. We're not going to go into all of it. We're going to say that's who she is. Jade is the daughter of Alan Scott. There, okay? But he does have a couple of kids, and she does have somebody that she considers a brother, unless, of course, because there was there's like a change in the continuity, and then it gets really complicated. It's stupid. Comic books can be very irritating because they don't know when to just let something be what it is, and the way they retcon and things like that on a constant basis, my information could be way off. So as usual, look, guys, I am not an expert on anything. I know the comics that I've read, and that's what I know. That's what I know. And I know that Jade is the daughter of Alan Scott by the comics that I read at the time that I read. And I do recognize this costume, and I did want Jade. Now, minor problem. Getting Jade opens up the fact that I don't have Alan Scott. I had a chance at an Alan Scott, and I passed him by. Because the Alan Scott that I found, I had him in my hand, I was ready to buy him and everything, when I realized there was a problem with him. A problem that I could not detect right off the bat. See, I'm red-green deficient, and it can cause real problems with my eyes. So I didn't realize that that Green Lantern had a lighting effect that went across him. So he was like, kind of like as if the light was shining this direction, and the light, and the way the colors went, and I got to looking at him, and I was like, oh crap. I actually did a video talking all about it, and I got rid of him. I was like, well, crap, no, never mind. I put him right back on the shelf. So I still don't have an Alan Scott. I also need a Jay Garrick. Those are two main members that I feel you can't put a Justice Society on the shelf and not have them. I need them. Will I get them? It's getting more difficult to do all the time. We have the pre-orders. I have all the situation that happened in terms of my life. I have my money tied up in a bunch of different stuff, and the money that's not tied up in that stuff is actually tied up basically in pre-orders at this point, and I have very little to spare and very little that's accumulating in the extra of my life right now. Pretty tight-knit. And those figures are going up. Like, every other time I look at them, for a while they were sitting in the 40 bracket, and I was like, that's fine, I'll be able to afford that. Now I think I've seen them where they're climbing into the 60 bracket. I don't know how easy or difficult it's going to be when I finally have the extra money to jump in there. Like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But having her makes me feel like now I need Alan Scott and Jay Garrick. So it kind of puts them higher on my list, but they cost more than they should because I'm not about to find them at MSRP. And welcome to collecting. I mean, we've literally all been there. We'll figure it out, right? We'll figure it out. Okay, guys, let's open this thing. Okay, so let's start with our first complaint, because we're going to do that. I'm going to keep doing this. I don't care. I don't care how it looks. I don't care how irritating it is. I'm going to say it every single one of these reviews just to keep harping on it. Flight stand. Jade can fly. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. And I know that it does not raise the price when you do it, because you've done it for multiple Superman now. Flight stands. Flight stands, McFarlane. Flight stands. As a standard at this point. Stop with these little discs. Stop it. So, she does come with 2 gripping hands, and I'm going to call them gripping hands because as far as I could tell, these are not shaped in terms of being trigger finger hands. So that's a plus. Otherwise, here she is. She's got a very, very decent face sculpt. I like that a lot. If there's one thing I can give to McFarlane, it's that when he does it right, he really does it right. The faces on McFarlane figures, and I'm not saying he hasn't done terrible ones. We got a Jay Leno Superman, okay? We got a Jay Leno Superman, okay? So he does them bad, but when he does them right, when his people apply themselves, and when they really knock it out, they do. They really do. Otherwise, basic body, basic design. There's not too much to really point out here. I do have a bit of a problem. So, there. That is her. Because whatever's going on with mine, that seems to be her at rest. And it's not right. It's got a small hole here because that's where... So, I kind of got to, push her back. And then she has, a hard arc in her back. And then move her kind of forward. I'm not sure why mine is funny like that, but it is causing me a bit of a problem. Not one that I will easily get over. Otherwise, everything else I'm seeing, I like. I don't like, I would prefer, and I know they gave her the high heels, so they couldn't necessarily do this. I don't like that they put her markings right there on her back. It means that any kind of photos that I do will have to avoid showing her back, because you'll get that, and I really don't like those markings to show up in any kind of photos that I do or anything like that. Her hands, however, we do got to talk a little bit about them. They're like Green Lantern energy, fiery hand things, which is fine for her. But I got to ask, if we had these hands, why did Fire not get these? Not that it would have necessarily helped her, but why didn't Fire get these? These make a lot of sense for a character like that and a character like this. But yeah, I just don't understand. Otherwise, there's not too much to talk about here. She's solid. She's a McFarlane figure. These boots very much feel like they're probably taken from the Catwoman Nightfall figure. I can't say that 100%, but they seem awfully familiar when I'm moving her around. In fact, this body... I can't prove this, but this body, this might be the Nightfall Catwoman. Like all the way. There might be a difference in the knees slightly, but I don't know. It feels awfully familiar. I'm pretty sure that what we got here was a head and hands and then a paint job. That's it. Is that bad? No. No, I don't honestly believe that it's bad. I think that it's fine. We understand that toy lines do reuse, and we understand that some toy lines do a lot of it. And to be fair, in some cases, reuse doesn't necessarily hurt the line if it's done the right way. And here, we got a Jade. I think I'm more forgiving to a lot of stuff like this than some other people that I come across. But I'm just going to go ahead and say this. We got a Jade. That's crazy. This line gave us Jade, Ragman, Our Man, a solid Power Girl. Like, we've been able to cut pretty deep with DC Multiverse. I'm going to hand it to him. Regardless of anything that we could say, regardless of all the irritations we could have, and we could have some. We definitely could. I think that overall, people will probably look back on this line and think it had a decent run. Personally, I really do. I know that some people are very much looking forward to him being done with the license and being out of it, and I get it. I'm not saying you're wrong for wanting that. I'm not saying you're wrong for wanting to see another person come in and try their luck, another company come in and try their luck. But for what we got, for the time that we got it, at the cost that we got it for, I actually think that McFarlane had a solid DC run. I really do. I honestly do. It'll be very interesting to see what the next company, what Mattel gives us. Maybe it'll be unbelievable. Maybe we'll be wishing we had him back. It'll be interesting to see where we get in the next 2 to 3 years, in all honesty. So, let me set this up and we will go to the chats. Okay. There's that. And we will do we'll try that. That's what we'll put up for right now. Okay. Never seen that character in my life. She was part of the JSA, to be fair. So unless you really liked like older heroes, and especially like specifically when the older heroes came back in like the JSA classified run and stuff like that, you might not know anything about her. I was late to the show. I didn't realize Jade was stupid McFarlane and Jade was short for Jada Toys. No, yeah, Jade. No, Jada Toys is currently off the list until we close out one of the other lines. So the way the show runs is there's 5 lines. I keep them next to me. Once a line completely goes out, once it's done, once it's gone, and we've opened every figure in that line, that gets taken out and a new line takes its place. The 2 lines that are currently waiting to be added to the show is there's a pile up in Star Wars, there's a pile up in Jada, and there's a Figma. And those are 3 lines that are looking to come in when the 2 other lines that are on their deathbed are finally done and we've opened everything. Chip off the old lantern. Hey everyone, good to see all the regulars. What's going on, guys? Guess you could say the family gathering for Thanksgiving is going to be very awkward. I didn't like it when they did that to the Batman TAS figures. Bill got stocks. Bill, question. What diorama suits barbarian figures more? Sand and stone? Snow and ice? Ooh. So I know people really like the they like how do I put this? People like the idea of seeing them in the winter. There's something cool about like their capes kind of blowing when they're wearing the animal skin and everything, and they're kind of walking in the cold, and like even basically naked, the cold just don't bother them like it does us. Like these are manly men and manly women. Like they ain't messing around. They're not jokes. But I gotta say, interestingly enough, with all the Conan that I've read in my life, I think I'm more used to seeing Conan in a sand, desert-esque environment. Because he spent so much time in the desert. Like, so much time when he was part of the Desert Wolves and whatnot. And, like, you gotta wonder. Like, that feels right to me. So if I'm gonna have to pick what looks better, I think that biting cold display has more effect. Like there's a visceral effect to your emotions, like when you see them in the sand and everything. But I think we have a lot more realistic depiction of them in sand-esque settings, like desert, sand dioramas, kind of like fortresses and whatnot in that kind of aspect. So maybe I'm leaning towards that. Just wait until Mattel makes one. We'll see. Look, I'm not the kind of person that can jump in and get hype on something I haven't seen. Like, I can't do it. I've got to wait. Something just fell over. I'm sorry, I'm fixing it. I've got to wait, and I've got to see what comes of this Mattel thing. I'm not excited. I'm interested. Not excited, not hyped. I have to see the prototype of the first Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. I have to see what Mattel is about to do to know whether or not I should be excited for the entirety of a line. Because for everything that Mattel does very, very well, Mattel also produces a lot of stuff that makes me go, what? And recently, some of their cost-cutting procedures that has affected Masterverse and Masters of the Universe is inexcusable and terrifies me for what we might be seeing in a line at DC or for DC. And also, it scares me to think that I could jump into a line for Mattel for DC, start getting figures, they start really good, and then exactly like I'm talking about, all of a sudden, they start backing off the quality. And they don't raise the price necessarily, but like, it's noticeable that the articulation is no longer in Masterverse like it was. And that's not good. That's bad. I don't like it when lines walk backwards. If you have to raise the price because life is what it is and it is what it is out there, I guess I'm fine with that more than I am watching the figures that I'm already invested in, the line that I'm already buying, just like cut every corner they can and then start delivering trash. And then I got to go, well, I mean, I've already got so much of the line. I don't really want to miss out on this one. Should I get it? And then I end up with She-Ra. If you were there for the live, you know. If not, there will be a chapter release for the videos that you'll get to see it. Look, man. I don't know. No, you don't get to hear the sweet sound of Bill crushing plastic. No, it's very, very irritating, I find, on a mic. And I don't like to subject people to it, to be fair. They fly now. I think we need Bill reviewing chairs and flight stands. Why? Todd, stop packing your little black drink coasters with... Dude, I swear, man. So, depending on your continuity, because in a lot of the books that I was reading, her skin was green, and her hair was green. But then I also read a whole bunch of books in an aftermath where like she'd lost her powers or something like that, and she just looked like a woman. So like, I'm not going to claim to be 100% on this, but like when I was reading the books, every time I seen her in panel, she was green. Like I thought that was literally what her skin color was for the longest time. To be fair, Jada Toys Cammy really needed a flight stand. I would agree, because things like the cannon spike, you can't really do that without the stand. Like, you can't really get it perfect without the stand. I would agree. What's your thoughts on the newly revealed Marvel Legends Retro Mysterio? Haven't seen it. Work has been kind of crazy, in all honesty. I will be honest about that, so I have not been keeping up the way that I would like to, but let's see. Dupe. So is it just the is it a new one coming out? Or is it just the retro card back Mysterio? Because if it's the retro card back Mysterio, that figure looks great, and it's probably the one that I want, in all honesty. But I thought that he already existed, if I'm being honest. I didn't think that he was like new. I thought for sure that he was like something that had already come out and then was being like reissued or something like that. Because I know that right now that's a thing. They're doing a bunch of reissues. Because I think that he's like a easily like a $90, $100 figure somewhere in there. So if there is a new Mysterio that I'm not aware of, I don't know about it yet. It hasn't like shown up on my Instagram or anything like that. There. Fix the chat. There we go. You going to get any of these Storm Arena figs at all? Right now, no. It's to save myself. If I'm being perfectly honest, that's what it's about. It's to save myself. Right now, I'm putting my money into Jada. And it's where I'm comfortable, and it's just what I'm going to keep doing. However, that being said, if Storm Arena starts doing like Mortal Kombat, that would catch my attention. Or King of Fighters that are on the same scale, that would catch my attention. Because I would love to add things to a fighting game shelf. And Storm Arena would be a really good way to do it. It's at a solid price point. They look like terrific figures. I'm not against them at all. They're really cool. I'm really looking forward to it, in all honesty. So like, yeah, I am interested in terms of that. But I'm sticking to Jada for right now. But I would be very interested if they started releasing other fighting game stuff. Like I thought, did they release, or were they about to release a Morgan for Storm Arena? Because like that would interest me, because that's Darkstalkers. That would be cool to get some like Storm Arena stuff. And as long as they scale well to the Jada figures, and I can keep them all in this idea where I got like a bunch of fighting game stuff, that's a dream. That's sweet. So that's the way they would get me in. They're not going to get me in with Street Fighter. I've pretty much planted my feet at this point in terms of Street Fighter. Let's see. I think the last Jada figure was in DC Direct. The last Jade figure was in DC Direct, which was a long time ago. Beach Barbarians need to be a movie. Did you see NECA is coming out with the 2012 Nickelodeon Turtles next month, I believe? I did not. And I don't know how I feel about it. Like, we talked about this, actually. Marvel Legends has won. We talked about this, actually, a big problem that I have that I'm not really getting over is that NECA, their quality for what you're paying, I don't feel is there necessarily. Like, and I know how some people feel about that because people really, really, really love NECA. But, like, I can't tell you how many figures I've bought where their accessories break, where their hands mess up, where their wrists pop, where the crotches break. Like, and I'm not even being that. Look, if you're going to look at me and go, oh, maybe you should take better care of your stuff. Guys, I have thousands of action figures. Thousands. If your action figure cannot stand up to my regular, careful manipulation, that's a problem. And some of the figures just don't do what I need them to do. Like simple things, like we talked about it when I got the NECA Megan. She can't sit down. That doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but she can't sit down. Shouldn't that be a regular function for a figure, for a character that was seen creepily sitting down amongst other toys and such? She can't sit down. Like, I have to actually alter the figure to get her to sit. That's not okay. So then they tell me that they're going to release one of my favorite Ninja Turtles ever. And maybe it'll look really good. But maybe it'll be hard, creaky plastic. And maybe it won't move quite the way I want it to. And maybe it'll look great, but not be able to be manipulated the way that I would need for the price that I'm going to pay. I have a very love-hate relationship with NECA because I see so much from them that I want. And then, time and time again, I have got these things that I want, only to find problems in the design as I keep them. And it really bothers me. So I don't know. I'm at an impasse with that. So let's see. Well, first off, we have and after those two, we're looking at and below that, bam. I think I got everything in there. So let's keep going with the chat. Let's keep hanging out. Have to say that new, more athletic Buck Evelyn looks amazing. Sorry, yeah. Tulsa Turtles of Grayskull was horrendous. I see. So here's the thing. The Origins line has not suffered. Personally. The Origins line has not suffered. I've called out a couple things that I feel that they're missing from time to time. But I let a lot go with Origins, and Origins stays consistently a fine product. Like, very, very good. Because of this, I don't have much negative to say about it. It seems to stay unaffected for the most part. But Masterverse feels like it's dipping in quality randomly. Like, where it'll put out, like, it put out that Beastman, that unbelievably cool Beastman from, like, Lords of Power. And then it did that She-Ra. Or it did that Evelyn, which is unbelievable. That Evelyn is absolutely solid. but her arms are a problem. And turns out those arms are now standard. The Evelyn arms, they're trash. And the same arms were given to Tila, and that really disappoints me. And the same arms were given to She-Ra, and it's noticeable. It is a problem. Those are bad arms, and they are affecting the line. Woman with green hair, right? Right? Ads are killing me, man. I'm not sure. I'm really not setting that up. Like, the program that I'm using just kind of takes me straight in. So if there are a lot of ads, that is not on purpose. I will look into that, actually. Based on the animated series Spider-Man. Let's see. It's going to be a Walmart exclusive. Let's see here. My money is on Jada as well, so he's planted his feet firmly in Jada. Storm Arena actually announced King of Fighters. I saw that, but I thought that there was a caveat to that. I thought they were small. Is King of Fighters going to be a 1/12 scale? Because if it is, I'm interested. But the ones that I saw were like small. They were too tiny for me to like care. The Mysterio that came now is based on the 90s animated series. The previous one was different. It was darker, based on the comics. So it looks more animated? Is that what you're telling me? So it's a new Mysterio, like a brand new Mysterio, and it's not the one that I'm thinking about. Because if it's the retro card Mysterio, we have had him before. But when I look up Marvel Legends Mysterio, all I'm seeing like, because I'm not seeing this. I'll click on news. Okay, bleeding cool. Oh. Okay, I can see it now. So I can see it now. I see exactly what you guys are talking about. I see it now. It's it does have that that look. It's way more animated series. Okay, I get it now. Absolutely. Yes, I see that. What do I think about it? I'm not worried one way or another. I kind of wish I could have got the other one. If I saw this one somewhere, would I be interested? Yes, but I also think that they went animated to skip on the amount of detail they would have to put into the sculpt. And in a way, that kind of bothers me a little bit, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, they cheaped out on its design rather than re-releasing what they already had. What they already had is already going for $100 online because people want it, and it's a very, very good figure. So now they kind of made one that looks a little cheaper, which is still a good enough one that if I came across it, I would buy it. But I don't know how I feel about it necessarily. What I'm saying is I'm not going to pre-order it. If I come across it at one of those Walmart displays, I'd be interested. I'd have it in person. It would be in my hands. It would go on the shelf. But I don't think that I would like run out to pre-order it because I'm scared that I wouldn't get it. I don't think I feel that way about it. And they showed, yeah, I thought for sure they showed Morgan and Lilith, and I thought that was cool because that would interest me. Yes, you are correct. Storm Arena is or has working prototypes of Morgan, Lilith, Charlie, Nash. I just stepped on something. I swear I did. My dog, I think, brought a burr in here, and I think I just stepped on it, and now I cannot find it. And now I'm going to step on it again later, and I'm going to be irritated. I know I did. But yeah, yes. Morgan and Lilith, that has my attention. Charlie, not really, because Jada's going to do that, and I'll just wait for that. Still waiting for Felicia figure from Storm Collectibles. That would be cool. See, now Storm Collectibles, that's one thing, but this Storm Arena, that I would definitely, because like Storm Collectibles, they're like big figures, which would kind of mess up my scale to put them with anything. But I would love to get the 1/12. Like that's I would love that. Yeah, that's where my mind is. Dan is already up for pre-order. Charlie will be soon. And I think you're talking about the Storm Arena. Did you read you interested in Invincible and the action figures? I understand you don't want to get too wrapped up in the rabbit hole. I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen parts of Invincible. And that's it. And nothing I have seen, and I know because people like things and then they hear that I don't necessarily share the same hype and they freak out. Nothing I have seen makes me eager to run out and watch it. Not that I'm not interested, I'm just not excited about it, like, at all. I see it and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And that's it. Like, that's literally as much as it hits me. Like, I'm like, oh, cool. Superhero thing. But I have yet to see anything that makes me go, oh, I have to see this. Like, I don't know. It seems like when I look at it, it looks like if J. Jonah Jameson had superpowers and was Superman and beat up people. And that's just from the material that I'm looking at. Like, I don't have any information. But that also makes it so, like, I'm not running out. Like, I'm not interested in the figures because I'm not watching the show. And I'm not watching the show and I'm not reading the books. And, like, nothing about it has gripped me and made me go, oh, shit, I have to check this out. So, yeah, like, I'm at a weird point with that whole thing. Take a seat, Megan. No, I don't think I will. Thank God you're Thank God you're like-minded as far as articulation goes, for figures should at least be able to sit down, bend at the knees, raise its arms, and bend its elbows. Right. I think there should be standards, and they should be followed at this point. And if you can't even get the minor standards of what is kind of across the board at $20 action figures, you shouldn't be charging $40, $50, and $60 for something that can't even do the basics. Anyone buying Maximum Series Deadpool. It turns out it's based on the Build-A-Figure Juggernaut Deadpool that was released about 10 years ago. I was happy to see this. I know this is going to sound weird, because I don't want it. If you've been on my show for any amount of time, I don't like Deadpool. I just don't care. I just don't care. Like, he gets old very fast. Like, I enjoyed his movies, but I've only got to sit with him for about 2 hours. I laugh, and then I leave. I can't play an entire video game where he won't shut up. I can't read book after book after book after book where he tells the same jokes that just get really old. And he's not the only one. When Deadpool took off and it started working, they all of a sudden went over here and they found Harley Quinn and they were like, Harley, that's our girl. And they put her and they just kind of made her Deadpool for DC. And that really turned my stomach. Harley Quinn in the books as she exists right now, that is not the same character that I knew or enjoyed or like at all. Like in the least, she's not the same character. And it kind of bothers me, and it gets really old reading 40-something issues of her telling beaver jokes. Like, come on. It just gets old. It gets really old really fast, and I can't stick with it. I can't. We are at a tie here with Marvel Legends. I can't do both of them. We got to break that tie. But yeah, that's the thing. I can't get into it. But that's a good thing for me. See, I liked Deadpool back when I first read him years ago. And then as he got more popular and it got a little more overblown, it started to really like drag on me. And I see this Deadpool come out for Maximum. And it looks like a good figure. Let's be honest about it. I'm not biased against him. I could look right at you. I could look right at it and I could say, from what I see, that looks like a solid figure. It does look like a good Deadpool. If you don't have a Deadpool, not that you won't have another opportunity to get another one, he looks fantastic. Like, I like the way they did his colors. I like the way his musculature. I like all the stuff that he comes with where, like, the guns look like real guns. And they're like, that's a solid figure. I think that people will enjoy it, hands down. I think it's a knockout, fantastic looking figure. If you could pay the money that you're going to pay for it. For me, in a way, it's good that I don't like him. Because I can see that he's a decent figure, but I don't want him at all. Like, not even a placeholder for my shelf. So I won't be buying him, and I can save Maximum money. If I can get a deal for $35, maybe $40. Okay, what is happening? I think I just stepped on it again. There it is. I got it. Ow. Dang dog. But, yes. I can get that you would wait for a deal. I don't know if any of the Maximums have actually dipped in price. I'm not paying attention because I have the two that I wanted. Guilty as charged. I don't have a smaller Deadpool, and seeing as the Build-A-Figure Juggernaut Deadpool is a bit outdated, I went with Maximum. Bill's going to be like, you do you, buddy. Right, for the most part, that's fine. It's being sold at $63. It looks awesome, but I'm still on the fence. I'm getting one despite having Build-A-Figure Juggernaut version. That Build-A-Figure Juggernaut was so long ago. Like, it feels like by now they would have updated something like him. This is kind of wild. Okay, I got to end the poll, and we got to try one more time. So here's what we're going to do. There. We'll attempt a tiebreaker. What Disney characters would look great as proper sculpt action figures? My money would be on Four Horsemen doing Aladdin figures or Hercules. Aladdin would be decent. But anything that you do that's Disney is going to have a cartoon Disney look. Like anything. And you got to keep in mind that if that's true, they're going to look off next to almost anybody. Like if you put an Aladdin next to a Spider-Man, and they're like both like jumping around or whatever, Aladdin is still going to kind of look like a cartoony Aladdin. That's what he's going to look like. That's all he's ever looked like. Which means that most any figure that you have will not scale right or look right next to the Disney figures except for other cartoons. And then you got to ask yourself how many cartoons you have that will look right with them. That's where I have trouble with like Disney stuff. Okay. Again, so far I like how it looks and such. I just don't like stubby looking katanas. That is a problem. I'll agree with this statement. Why are his swords like baby swords? Should have come with an unmasked head too. I can agree with that. Look, it's a Maximum figure. If we're going to play Maximum games, okay, it's supposed to be the best of the best. Parker came with an unmasked head. I didn't say it was a good one. I said he came with one. One would argue that's got to be true for a maximum Deadpool. You want him to be unmasked. You want him to be masked. Maybe even you want the one where his face is kind of pulled up so he only has like that much. And you definitely want real size katanas for him. Like G.I. Joe katanas for him. Not like weird little baby swords. Ouch, that's going to hurt the bank. Right. Okay, so we are looking at Rhino. So Rhino has won. Pretty cool, actually. That Rhino looks pretty sick. My nitpick on that Deadpool is the same. I wish the katanas were longer. Maybe the unmasked head of the original one might fit the new one. It sucks when toys are more expensive for you when you don't live in the U.S. And I've heard that a lot. I've seen some other prices, like with the Motu stuff, and yeah, that's hardcore. Yeah, here's hoping the original unmasked Build-A-Figure Deadpool head fits. But we shouldn't have to resort to that. I'll probably try to replace the katanas. Just buy like a Snake Eyes or whatever. Steal his. Hopefully I can find the third-party katanas. I do have a question. When it comes to overseas figures, are they cheaper in your country? Are they cheaper in your country compared to the U.S.? Are they about the same price regardless? Not that, from what I've seen, some of these other places are paying real money. Okay. There it is. Oh my gosh. That's a big dude right there. That's a big dude. So, let's consider before we open this. I have a couple things sitting on my desk that I can compare him to right now. And that's what I'll compare him to. I thought about... I'm not moving that Spider-Man right now. But we could use you. There, I got a Spider-Man for comparison. That should be fine. So, let's go ahead and run the next figure of the night, shall we? And this... Oh my gosh, this dude feels heavy. Rhino. That is a heavy mug. Like that. Man, like it's noticeable. That's a hunk of plastic right there. Okay, this is from the Retro Card Back re-release. Yes, these are the figures that already came out that are now starting to show up on Walmart shelves. Let me say something. Thank you. I don't know what happened. I don't know what is taking place. I don't know why it's happening. But thank you. Because all of a sudden, Walmart has like toy displays for adults with dioramas. And they're selling Star Wars and Transformers and Motu Origins and all kinds of stuff. And on the Marvel section, they're bringing back figures that have been difficult to obtain. Recently, I picked up a J. Jonah Jameson. That is awesome, because I missed him, and it was going to cost money for me to get him. They put this Rhino back out. Arguably, pretty much the Rhino that people want. Like, for right now, this is the Rhino people want. And he's back on the market. Cross-sell wise, what do they got to lose here? They got the Spider Armor Mark 1. If they put that figure back out, that's a good Spider-Man. I like that Spider-Man a lot. I'm going to admit to being slightly biased. That's my favorite Spider-Man armor ever. It's one of my all-time favorite costumes. I love that costume, so of course that's fantastic. If you don't have a Hammerhead, here's hoping this whole line comes out. That's what we're arguing right now. I would skip him, but that would be cool. That symbiote Spider-Man, I'm going to be honest with you. If they put that back out, maybe to some people, that's a definitive. I wouldn't argue with you. But I would say that at this point, the black suit Spider-Man from this wave, I think, personally, he has been outdone by the Secret Wars Spider-Man. I think that's a better Spider-Man. His hands are accurate to the actual comic that he was released in. He comes with the other head with like the squinted eyes that look really dangerous. That's a really cool head sculpt. He's got the best articulation that he can have up to this point, really, disincluding things like Maximum. But, like, that's a solid black suit Spider-Man. So, like, I don't know about this wave, if they would put that back on the shelves, how well it would go over compared to just putting that Spider-Man back on the shelves, the Secret Wars one. However, this Ben Reilly, I don't know of another chance that we've had to get him, personally, in this costume, this design. So that would be really cool. I would be interested in that Ben Reilly. That was the Ben when I was growing up, before the Scarlet Spider stuff and whatnot really took off. I would love to get a Shocker, and I would love to get a Hobgoblin. So, like, almost everything about this line I want. And here it is. That's awesome. It's awesome to see this stuff coming back out. Like, it really floors me. Do I have anything to say about the Rhino? Like, he's my favorite character or something like that? No. He's the Rhino. He's cool. That's about it. I don't have much when it comes to, like, gushing over the Rhino, other than to say, realistically, I knew that I wanted a Rhino because I want Spider-Man villains. I mean, it's that simple. I would argue that Batman and Spider-Man have the best rogues galleries in existence. I think, because I read a lot of Spider-Man, I probably lean towards Spider-Man being the more impressive rogues gallery, but it's so minute. Like, if one of them has an edge, I don't think it's by much, in all honesty. That's just kind of where I am. You show me a Spider-Man villain, more than likely I know that villain, more than likely I'd be interested to put it on the shelf. And we've talked about this before. I'm a bit of a Spider-Man putz. You show me some Spider-Man, you've already got my foot 50% in the door. It's not always a guarantee, but it's a pretty good chance. Let's open this guy. All right. We've got two big old grabby-esque hands. And, just to put it out there, the pegs are small on these hands. It probably doesn't matter because he's so big, but I don't know if this would be a problem later on, that when they made this guy, do these, and maybe somebody knows out there, I don't know, do these become a problem later on if you pop them in and out a couple times, and because they're so small in terms of like the peg, Does that become a problem? Do they reach a point where they stop kind of sitting in the wrists properly? I don't know. But it is something to think about. Otherwise, we have this head, which is solid enough. And then, of course, we have the angry head where he charges at you. And it's a good head. It's a good head. Like, it's solid for what it is. I cannot get it to focus for some reason on him. But it's a good head. It really is. Otherwise, this is not a generation figure where, like, they didn't make this guy new, okay? You're not looking at butterflies or anything like that. You're looking at the Rhino, and that's what you're looking at. Now, that being said, I like that they went out of their way to really craft all of this guy. Like, you gotta kind of give this to them because, like, he's not as buff as the Hulk, but, like, he's still remarkably big. He can bend down. That's going to be important for him. If you're going to get that solid run pose or whatever, you want him to be able to kind of lean in like this, put his head down, which he does. So you can kind of get those. You can get those effects. Otherwise, you can get him swinging at Spider-Man and things like that. I think you'll be able to kind of get those things out of him. But, like, he is a big, giant dude, and he has single knees. He has single arms. He has pins everywhere. He doesn't have drop-down hips or anything like that. He's got the swivel. He's an older figure, and it feels like he is an older figure. He is sturdy. He's a lot of plastic, and he is the Rhino. And if you don't have a Rhino and you're willing to understand that this is a re-release, I think you would do just fine, in all honesty. And it's your chance to pick these guys up at a fair MSRP, a real price, not the aftermarket price. What is he in comparison to Spider-Man? Well, that's what we're looking at here. This is the first appearance Spider-Man. That's Rhino. That's terrific scale. Because you're looking at something where, like, I would argue maybe, depending on the artist, he probably could have been a little bit bigger, but I think you would make do very well with this kind of comparison. You can easily create situations where it looks dangerous for him because this thing is coming at him. His head doesn't really turn necessarily. It's kind of got, like, a couple of swivel points. And that's him. Look, there's a lot of detail on this guy, and there's a decent amount of, like, color variation in the grays that really work for him. Otherwise, look, he's an older figure, and he works pretty well. I don't have an excessive amount of stuff to say about him, but I don't think we need an excessive amount of stuff to get the point across. He's the Rhino. That in itself is cool. He's re-released. He's finally back out there in a way that you can actually afford. I think it's a win. And I was more than happy to put him on my shelf for $40 instead of the $140 that I have actually seen him sold for on Amazon. I'm not paying that. I'm not doing it. But I will buy him at the price that he actually should go for. And I did. And I'm happy. So, let's set up another. So, let's go. There's that. They're out for a rotation. And then lastly, we have Bink. Okay. So let's go back to the chat. Keep hanging out. Tamashii Nations has a platform on Shopee. That's Shopee? I'm not 100% sure how they actually like their name to be said. An online platform similar to Temu that I order so I don't pay inflated prices. The other imports from China and Japan aren't that expensive. Let's see. What do you think of the new Marvel Legends Spider-Woman in a symbiote suit that was revealed today? I didn't think that was Marvel Legends. I thought that was Marvel Select. And that would be an important distinction. Was the symbiote Spider-Man? Because I did see the symbiote Spider-Woman, and if it's what I'm thinking it is, trying to look for it now, because I thought for sure I seen it today. I thought I did. Maybe it is Legends. I don't know. Now I can't seem to find it. But I thought for sure I seen it today, and I thought for sure that it was a Select. Well, regardless, because now I cannot find it. I really can't. I don't know. Because I don't have an answer, and I don't want to give you information that, like, I don't have. I don't see her. Like when I'm doing quick searches, and that's a problem because I can't lock down exactly what it is. But I thought I seen her earlier today, and I thought she was Marvel Select, and that like immediately made me go, I don't care, because I don't do Marvel Select because all their characters are like a bit bigger, and it doesn't scale with any other Marvel thing that I have, and it kind of ruins that for me a bit. Will Bill, there's always Maximum Thor, Maximum Symbiote Spider-Man. A Maximum Thor has my attention. I do think that's needed. I think we need a new, very solid Thor, and I think that would be the absolute best place to do him. Maximum Symbiote Spider-Man, I would like to claim that I wouldn't do that. But also, when it comes to Spider-Man, I'm a bit of a putz. Maybe they would get me on that. But I think they would be hard-pressed. That's probably a really tough one, in all honesty, because I absolutely love the Spider-Man that I have. And I think it would take a lot to pry him from my hands. And most of the time when it comes to something like that, if I would get another Spider-Man, a symbiote Spider-Man, I would remove the other one from the shelf. So I don't know how that would go exactly. I never shop from Big Bad Toy Store. The shipping will kill me. Sorry to hear that, man. I hope that you find some third-party alternatives that aren't expensive shipping fees. There are legit third-party alternatives, no big deal. Also, cool. It's Hasbro. They like to reissue from time to time. I won't be surprised if they reissue that Havoc and Polaris 2-pack because we are getting a new strong guy. I saw that. A new strong guy. I'm not going to get him. But when I saw him, like, there was a moment of happiness that crossed me. Like a legit, like, it made me smile. I'm on there and I'm scrolling and I see him and I'm like, oh, no way. No way. And immediately, I felt like this is gonna be so cool for X-Men fans. Like, for guys that, like, really liked things like the New Mutants and whatnot, that's going to excite a lot of people. And I'm excited that they're going to get something that cool. Like, I love that. I absolutely love that. If you've been here long enough, you know that one of my big things is, even if I don't want it, I want people to get stuff in their collection. I'm not one of those guys that, like, wants to immediately critique and crap on something that somebody likes. I just don't see the point to it. And I'm also not one of those people that, like, wants to come in here and be like, oh, well, all toys are trash and blah, blah, blah. The industry has fallen apart. And come on, guys. We are, as far as I'm concerned, I've said this before, we're in a golden age of collecting. And I love to see you get what you get. I really do. You probably already know, but the Spider-Man retro-carded Electro is getting reissued too. I saw, yeah, absolutely. I saw that. That's if you want that character or not, Bill. He used to run for 70 or 90 on the aftermarket. Doesn't surprise me. He would be interesting, especially since, like, comic-wise, that is the first real supervillain that Spider-Man dealt with. That, like, is classified super. You know what I mean? Like, he had power. And that would be really cool, actually. Just for the, like, I would love to put this guy with that guy. So that does interest me. I would be very interested in that. Can you do a pool of who actually likes drop-down hips? I do not hate them. They get loose or break easily, and if the legs are cut correctly, you don't even need that. So I'm sometimes on the fence about the drop-down hips. Like, realistically. Sometimes I feel like I absolutely adore them. Because sometimes when they do cut heavy into the hips, and you don't need the drop-down hips, like, one could argue this guy does not have drop-down hips. But, like, what are we... This is War Machine. Okay, so he's not going to do the perfect splits. But, like, he's also going to be kicking ridiculous and everything. Like, but in order to get that level of cut, like, these hips, like, there's a gap here that allows that to happen. And some people are really not keen on that. They like the drop-down hips because when you're standing prone, you could push them up and in, and then it kind of seals a lot of that off, and it kind of looks more natural. But then one could argue, I don't think that Psylocke, did Psylocke have drop-down hips? I haven't grabbed her off the shelf for a minute. Because I don't think she did. No, she does not. I was right. Psylocke does not have drop-down hips. And her posability is utterly fantastic. So, like you said, if they do the cuts right, you really don't need them in most cases. But one could argue that she has these really hard hip cuts. And some people don't like these gaps here, these, like, super into her thigh pelvic gaps. They really don't like that, and they would have preferred if these would have been a little tighter and they would have had drop-down hips to pull the legs down to create certain motions you wanted. It is subjective, I think. There are arguments on both sides of it, if we're being perfectly honest. But how many people do we have hanging out here right now? Because just for what it's worth, DC Multiverse did win. But depending on how many people we have, maybe we could just ask a quick little question for the sake of. So there's 6 people right now hanging out with us. That's not huge, but let's go ahead and ask it. Let's go ahead and ask it. Bink. Let's go ahead and ask it. Let me fix this. Guys, we picked something other than DC and Marvel. To be fair, Marvel just left the show. DC just left the show. DC only has one figure left, and he just got voted, which actually means DC has dropped the show now for a little while. Also, to follow up with what Vasco is talking about, is that it's Peach Momoko. You have to have the annual plus Marvel Unlimited subscription in order to get it. The Spider-Woman on a symbiote suit is a Marvel Legends that will be an exclusive of Marvel Unlimited. Unfortunately, Marvel Select is over. That's what she is. I seen her today. I knew that she showed up. She showed up in like Instagram or something while I was scrolling during one of my breaks. And I was like, oh, neat. And it said Select on it. And I was like, oh, well, never mind. And I scrolled right past her. So I was unaware, in all actuality. Interesting. I'm not about to buy a subscription to Marvel Unlimited to get a figure. I'm not going to do it. So she's one of those things that either I'll see her in passing on the secondary market, she'll be marked up way too high, and I'll just not get her. Or that's it. I guess I won't have her. Am I freaked out about not getting her? Not necessarily. I'm not. The symbiote Spider-Man doesn't exactly like. It's cool, but like I'm not rolling over myself or whatever to get her either. So like they're not going to get me on that. Interesting. So we got 4 votes of the 6 people hanging out, and we are 50-50 on the drop down, which I did say, like, we're looking at, it's very subjective with the drop down hips thing. It really is. Like, I've seen people that are fine with it. I've seen people that really don't like it, but it seems like, and our poll is very small right now because we just don't have the people hanging out tonight. So we'll see. We'll keep that in mind in terms of some of these questions. Did I see the 1989 armored Batmobile? If that's the McFarlane one, I seen it. I'm not worried about it. I don't want it. There's only one Batmobile. There's 2, to be fair. But in terms of that scale, those are big. There's only one Batmobile that scale that I'm going to put on my shelf. Look, that takes a lot of space. If I got to pick one Batmobile, and this might surprise some people, it's 1966. I have no idea why. I can't explain it. That is my favorite Batmobile, live action wise. I don't know why. There's something about that car that intrigues me. I like it. Followed closely by the 89 Batmobile. That's my second favorite Batmobile. I would put either one on my shelf. But if I have to pick one, and because of the way space works, I would probably have to pick one, it's the 66 one. In terms of the Godzilla TMNT, when it's done and it comes out as a graphic novel, I'll be interested. I do not buy singles anymore. I have an entire video talking about it. I really bled myself out of singles. I just can't do it anymore. Well, let's knock this out of the show, because after this, DC is like literally out of the show. And then I think on the next show, Jade will probably take its place. Jade will be back in rotation. So, Bizarro. I said, I had to fix my fan. I said that I did not want this. You may remember that I released a short and I specifically said, what is going on? Why is it on the old buck when we have that very good buck? Like we have the best possible Superman buck out there right now. What are we doing? and I said that I didn't think that I wanted this. Well, then why do I have it? Because originally when I was looking at the pictures, I thought this was built on the Action comic Buck with the single knees, with the single arms, and I thought that he would be like a small Superman, kind of like the Action Comics Buck that they put out, that I liked until I got to really looking at it, and I really didn't like that he was like smaller than everybody. It really bothered me. So I didn't want this, and I passed on it. I happened to come across him randomly at a Walmart. And I'm kind of glad I did, because I would not have bought him otherwise. I wasn't looking at any pictures. I wasn't diving in or anything like that. I was just kind of moving through. Like, look, sometimes I look at the images, I make a decision. If I've already made the decision, I move on to the other things and I look at other things. And I don't keep going back to the thing that I've already left behind and go, oh man, but what if I'm wrong? I just move on. I seen him at the store. I was picking up a couple of figures and I grabbed him just because he was literally in my way. I was picking him up to move him. And when I picked him up, I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I got to looking at him and I was like, hold on. Oh, crap. He's built primarily on the Silver Age Buck. Crap. Then I really get to looking at him. And he's kind of like that classic Superman that we just got. And I'm like, well, they got me. Because then it made me want him. I don't have a lot of villains on the shelf. We've talked about that. And the chance to put a really cool Bizarro with the cape and everything, very simple, but his price was right, and here he is, and that's why I had him. Because I wanted to kind of address that, because I did an entire short back a while ago where I was like, I don't want it. I'm not interested. You're gonna sell me a buck from like $5 ago, and like that's what you're gonna do when we just got done. And I remember being irritated about it, and nobody corrected me. By the way, nobody got on that video. Like I had a bunch of people that were like agreeing with me. They were like, oh yeah, that's absolutely the single joint elbow buck and blah blah blah, and this is garbage and trash, and I can't believe they did that, because of course it's the internet. Everybody that has a hobby has to hate their own hobby. So like, for a while there was just no way I was going to get this. Well, luckily, I got to see him in person, and that did make all the difference, which also brings the argument to the forefront. Sometimes the toy hunt matters, because seeing it in person is not the same as seeing the pictures. Sometimes it really does make all the difference. Let's open him. Okay, so we, of course, have flight hands. That's pretty much what I'll call them. We have this Bizarro necklace, which is kind of fun. Why? Telling you, I know it's getting old, but every time we do a DC figure that flies, I'm going to mention the fact that we are not getting flight stands, but we are getting flight stands with other characters that fly, and we are not seeing price increases for those flight stands. I know you could do it. Stop it. Give us the flight stands. In fact, the second you design that flight stand, these should just be done. We shouldn't be getting these at all. All of them should just be the flight stands all the time, even for characters that don't fly, because you can either just add that little peg that creates the flight stand or keep it like this, and then you just have a regular stand, and you would constantly have extra stands for a bunch of the other figures that you collect, which would just be cool in general, and he would be doing a real collector solid, but whatever. So, here we go. Now, the one thing to point out, a couple of things to be fair. We do have a trigger finger hand. Look, it's a little more squeezed than normal, but it's a trigger finger hand, okay? That's what it is. A punching hand and 2 flight hands. So he can only punch one way. Then he has to, like, hold a gun, I guess, or maybe the idea to give him that was so you could allow him to, like, hold this, but, like, then the idea is to put that on him anyway, so, like, what was the point of that? I don't know. And in all honesty, because of the way this thing is designed, you could have easily slipped that into this hand too, so there's no reason for that. Otherwise, we have the double legs, the feet just like normal, so we're not experiencing any problems there. We have the same kind of body that we saw primarily on the last couple Supermans from this kind of idea. We have the yellow S cape, which is cool. A question about that cape. Is that wrong? Should that be the other way? Kind of like how this is the other way. Like this, I know that because the camera is reversed, that looks right. But like that's reversed. Oh, now hold on. No, it seems weird. No, okay. Yeah, because that's an S going that way. That's an S going that way. It's right. I'm looking at that screwed me up because I looked at this and then it looked right, and then my eyes looked at it and then they were like fooling me, and I was like, no, that's right. But then I was looking at it and I was like, no, but that's backwards. And then I would look and then I would see that and then I go, no, it's right. The camera's reversed. The live camera is reversed, so all that did was make me feel about stupid, and that's where we are now. We're at me looking and feeling stupid. I don't think that it's going to bother me too much that he doesn't have the arms that I necessarily want. Normally, it would bother me. At this point, the reason it's not going to bug me that much, in all honesty, is because he is Bizarro. Maybe he's different. You get what I mean? Like a couple of differences like that I don't think are necessarily bugging me, so I'm going to let them go. Otherwise, everything about him is pretty solid. He's got a really good face. Like he really does. It's a really cool, it's kind of like it's Bizarro. It's a Bizarro face. He does kind of look down. Like that's him looking straight forward, and it's really not 100%, and then he's not really. That's. Look up. You're supposed to fly, Bizarro. So that's going to be rough. That's going to be rough. Otherwise, I think for what it's worth, I think you'll get something out of this guy. I really do. And also, look, I'm willing to forgive a lot at a $20 price range figure that literally comes with a cloth cape with wireframe, decent enough articulation. Yeah, some people really don't like the pins. I'm not the kind of guy that really bothers too much. I think he's fine. Is he the best figure ever? No. Did I buy him to be one of the best figures on my shelf? No. Am I like the biggest Bizarro fan in the world? No. If I had a complaint, maybe, just maybe, the suit should have been a little darker. But that's arguable. You could also argue that depending on what comic you're reading, what continuity you're looking at, or who drew him and who was the colorist, sometimes his costume is exactly the same color as Superman's, and sometimes it is not. I kind of get a kick out of how people get extraordinarily nitpicky and go, it's not right because da-da-da. And I'm like, guys, these are characters that literally have been written over the course of 80 years, colored over the course of 80 years by hundreds of people. One definitive look is not necessarily true when you're talking about a comic book character that has existed that long. This guy's fine. I think he's fine. I think if you don't have a Bizarro, he will work fine for your shelf. I don't see that you'll have any problems. It'll be cool to kind of get a couple of fight scenes with him. I think that I enjoy him. So that puts us setting up the next real quick. And then we will go back to the chat. So I should have moved the mic. Get out of my way. Okay, so let's do and because of the rules, whenever we finish off a line, it's no longer sitting over here. Even if we get new DC in, until we finish another line that DC can actually replace, DC is out of the count. It will not appear in the show until it has an opening to come back into the show. So we won't have any more votes for DC. The next on the docket, I believe, is Jada. And then after Jada gets voted all the way through, or Super 7 gets voted all the way through, or Frazetta Icons gets voted all the way through, because those are like, those don't have a lot of figures in them. They'll get voted all the way through. Star Wars will probably come back into the show, because Star Wars ran out, and now there's a whole bunch of Star Wars that's like ready to come back into the show. And we'll see where we go from there. We'll just keep doing the show. Oh, well, okay, welcome back. Yeah, so you're right there with me. I get it. No, I did not realize that. I had no idea about that. So that I am unaware of. Hasbro has done it a few times, but they've made certain Marvel Legends exclusive to Marvel Unlimited. Thankfully, it's for versions of characters that no one has heard of or are completely skippable, which is good. Which is good. Excuse me, dang. Okay. You have so many figures. That's fair. That's fair. I'm still absolutely put to shame by some of the like major collectors here in the toy space, though. If we're being completely reasonable, if we're being realistic, there's so many people that have like literal basements wall-to-wall figures so far that you can like literally like go room to room to room to room to room. There's a guy that I saw on TikTok that like he puts me to absolute shame. He's got shelves, then he's got the walls wallpapered even across his ceiling and everything, and I'm like, holy crap, this dude is real. Like I can't compete with something like that. I do have a lot of figures. I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, this is like a thing that I do. I collect action figures. So over the course of many, many, many years, I have accumulated them. I actually have a video that talks a lot about this. That's I believe the video is like what it's like to be a 40-year-old collector. And that video specifically talks about how long I've been collecting and where some of this stuff came from. Like, because it's piled up over many years. This was not like I started YouTube and then started collecting. This has been a thing. I still have toys from my childhood on that shelf. So yeah, like I have my Wolverine that I grew up with, my Sabretooth that I grew up with. I still have a couple of my original G.I. Joes. Like, yeah, so this has not been a thing that like was quick. I do have a lot of figures, but it was over a long period of time that it was all put together. Bizarro, he's made 3 of them, but he couldn't make a 52 really. I mean, there's still a lot of figures that I feel like people are still kind of clamoring for that they wish he would have done, to be fair. But I mean, now you're not going to see him. But I still think that he took a major deep dive further than I think we've seen some other lines even attempt. Because let's be honest, when Mattel does finally do the figures, I'm not saying they'll be bad, I'm saying they'll be basic. And I don't mean like basic figures. I mean, we're going to get Superman. We're going to get Batman. We're going to get Wonder Woman. We're going to get Robin. We're going to get Nightwing. We're going to get all the people that we already have 100 times. Because every time they restart the lines, you got to go with the basics. And I have no idea how long it's going to take to branch into like deeper cuts. Marvel Legends, DC Multiverse, McFarlane. Have you met anyone from the superhero comic book world, artist, writer, creator, or actor that you were really glad to meet? Have I met? Well, okay. So, I'm just checking on how that's going. I met Brandon Rolfe. I thought that was cool. Like, I met him. I got to talk with him. That was really cool. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I met a couple of X-Men artists. I met Lou Ferrigno 2 different times. That was really cool, actually. Lou Ferrigno is incredibly personable. Like that dude sat there and talked to me for like 35 minutes. Like, no joke. He was just hanging out talking. And that's kind of wild when you think about the settings and everything that this dude is at. And like, he was so nice. And I actually got to talk to him about some stuff that like other people probably are not talking to him about. Maybe that's why he was kind of excited to talk to me, because like, I'm sure he gets hundreds of people, thousands of people that want to go up and talk about the Hulk. You get the idea. I mentioned the Hulk, but I wanted to talk about his characters on Star Trek. His character on Star Trek. That's what I wanted to talk to him about. There's a show called Star Trek Continues, and he does a character in that, in Orion, and he did a really good job, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I talked to him about that, and it was so cool to be able to talk to somebody that was at that level of like legend, man. He was really cool. I've met a lot of people to the point where it actually, I know this is going to sound wild, it starts to lose some of its luster. Like, I've went to a lot of conventions, met a lot of people, and started to kind of feel like while some people will let you down, they're not very interesting, like some people are really cool. And it also depends on the day you meet them, and most of them are just like people. That happens a lot. You go up, you say hey, they say hey, they sign a piece of paper or whatever. Maybe you take a picture and then you leave. And that's it. Some of them will barely speak to you. They'll push you right through the line. And then some are very personable. And it's very cool. It's a very cool experience. Okay, looks like we are seeing a Motu Origins victory. Holy crap. Okay. They do, in fact. So, I was not expecting that. Motu very rarely wins on this show. Like, I don't know if it's just the people that kind of show up for the lives or what, but it very rarely wins anymore. Let's check out. Just picked that up, so that would be cool. That would be cool. He would be neat. And... oh. Oh, yeah, why not? Yep, okay. That is where we currently are in that stuff. So let's go back and check out what's going on. Bizarro's grab hand can also be used to grab Soup's throat and with his fist bash his face in. Nah, he probably can't. That hand isn't open enough. This could probably make an effect kind of like that, but you'd have to have the camera angle correct. Trick of the eye, right. Bizarro with trigger hands, so I started blasting. Right. Maybe Bizarro has an invisible gun to shoot down Wonder Woman's invisible jet. McFarlane should have really added some butterfly joints to his Mortal Kombat figures before he released it. My Sub-Zero can't do his signature freeze projectile gesture. So look. Because I'm having trouble getting home and like there's a lot going on right now. So it's hard to get home and like edit the chapters. We actually talked about this in a live when we went through all the figures and what I thought about them currently. And by the time I get that put into a chapter, it's going to look like this guy's just now talking about this, because somebody's going to find it and they're going to be like, oh, we've already got these, people already got these on their shelf. But I noticed that for whatever reason, when you're looking at the collector's pack that comes out, the 2, that Sub-Zero comes with an ice effect. And it's a sad one, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there. It's like it's sad. Personally, it kind of looks like he's doing like this. It's maybe about as maybe it comes that far off of his hand, and it's got like it's barely. It's not impressive. It's like a tiny ice ball, maybe. That would be bad enough. That the ice effect is kind of crap. But I noticed that the way they have him set up is he kind of has 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, barely in a fighting pose, and his hand is he's just kind of doing like this or whatever, but like from the side, so he's like shooting some ice, and it looks bad. Like, it looks bad. And I'm looking at it and I go, can he not do it? And that was a kind of an eye-opener for me, because that was going to be the pack that I was going to test the line with. I was going to buy the 2-pack, see if I cared about them, and then see if I dove into the line. Looking at the pictures for the 2-pack and making a couple of determinations, I didn't buy into the line. So I am not bought into the line. I've put no money in, and I don't know if I will at all. I want to care, but there are many things working against it. Things that I'm having trouble ignoring. Everyone thinks they have a big collection until they see other people's collections online. Dude, that is such a real statement, man. That is such a real statement. Yes. Dude, these guys that get online and show their stuff off and whatnot, they got it, man. They got it. I'll also say, my collection could be mildly misleading. What you see, okay, like with this, I'm in a 10 by 10 room. Okay, I don't like my house is fairly old, and I built this. Literally built this. There's an entire series of videos on this channel called Space. They're literally like the Space Quest videos or whatever. And I go over the idea of building these shelves. And I built them all the way up to the ceiling and all the way across. But this room is just a 10 by 10. It's not like a big giant master bedroom. It's like a little side room in a house that maybe you would put a bed and a dresser for like a guest room, and that's it. So everything kind of the way that it gets crammed in here, it looks like there's a lot. And there is, to be fair. If I'm going to compare myself to somebody that has like a bookshelf of toys, I've got them beat 100%. But if you're going to start comparing me to like the toy tubers that like dominate YouTube, no way. Like, I can't take everything that I own and fill even one of their rooms. Like, there's not enough. I don't have enough to do it. I meant to ask, but what are your thoughts on the debate and mixed opinions over the new Gamerverse Wolverine height compared to others? So, I noticed this is an argument that exists right now. Gamerverse Wolverine is too big. I might agree. But I don't know. I don't have him. And maybe he leans over so much that it'll never be a big deal. And maybe, because we're throwing out a bunch of maybes now, Gamerverse tends to be working on their own scale. Now, I don't know this for sure, but maybe, just maybe, just like when you buy an X-Men 97 figure and then get mad because it's not comic book looking, and then people do that dumb crap and it drives me crazy. They're like, this isn't what I wanted. If you're going to sell the last one, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they're like, he looks too cartoonish for me. X-Men 97 is a cartoon. It's a cartoon. If you buy an X-Men 97 figure, it's going to look like a cartoon. If you buy He-Man Revelations He-Man and then complain that it doesn't look like the He-Man that you had when you were a kid, that's a Revelation He-Man. It's not supposed to look like the one you had when you were a kid. Almost at all. It's not the same argument. Maybe, if I was to load the game up and argue by his level of hunch, is that Wolverine a little bit bigger? Is the Wolverine from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, if he actually stands up, you know, at the end when he actually wins and he stands up and he taps his claws or whatever, or smokes his cigar, if he's standing next to other characters, is he bigger than Wolverine is normally in terms of the continuity for a comic book? I'm asking a real question because I don't remember. I would have to go back and play the game a little bit and see it. And if so, then he's perfect. But if they did mess the scale up, then they did mess the scale up. And it's hard for me to know. I don't have one, and I haven't replayed the game recently to kind of make that determination. Wolverine could be bigger in that continuity in that game than he is that we're used to seeing him in other continuities. And that's very, very possible. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it if I compare him to all my other Wolverines. Like when they released the When they released the Astonishing Wolverine, I did not like him. I know a lot of people ran out and bought him, was talking about he's the best Wolverine they've ever released and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I think he's too big. I remember having that problem, and I thought it was interesting that nobody else felt that way. I was like, this is a comic book Wolverine. This is a Wolverine from Astonishing X-Men in the comics. And for some reason, he's as tall as Scott Summers. Why is everybody okay with that? Like, what's going on? But people were fine with it. I thought that was very interesting. I thought that I was very confused about that. And then, now, I see everybody's mad about this Wolverine. And now I don't know how I feel about this Wolverine because I don't know how tall he's really supposed to be. And if you look at things like that Juggernaut that's coming out that is bigger than that Juggernaut that we have, is that because everybody in that line is just a wee bit bigger? Like, or is it just, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it right now. Well, we have I tell you what, we've done this before, and we're going to do this again. We're going to open both at the same time. We'll open both at the same time. Let's do Rhino and Cheetara at the same time. They're smaller figures. They shouldn't be too hard to talk about. And because I'm definitely going to receive comments about some of the things I say, we'll just do that. I hope since it's confirmed he will make Supergirl movie figures that we get the rest of the Justice... Oh, sorry. I hope since it's confirmed he will make Supergirl movie figures that we get the rest of the members of the Justice Gang, Hawkgirl, and Guy. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I have no figures and want to get in, but money is tight. I'm getting other stuff. Sacrifices to the Lord to Lord Darkseid will be made. Anyone buying the McFarlane Fallout T60 armor? The figure and its guns look cool despite not having played the game at all. I'm not, but I actually feel like that's one of the few figures that makes his Elite line look like it can ask the price tag that it's asking for. Just saying. You got your non-Marvel Legends DC Universe vote from me on Motu. Cheetara, baby, let's go. Okay. So okay, let's do it. Cheetara, Rhino, same time. First Thundercats figures I've ever bought, ever. Let's do it. Let's get this out of the way. Let's do it. Let's say it. We're going to say it, okay? I have never, ever watched even one single episode of the Thundercats ever. Not once. Not one. Not one solitary episode. Not even in passing. Ever. So, I know that immediately the question comes up, why are you buying Thundercat toys? Back up. Back up. Give me a second. Because the only association that I have with the Thundercats, I liked a lot. I saw them in the comic book crossover, Masters of the Universe and Thundercats. And that book is good. And the Thundercats in that book are good. I don't know if their introduction into that book was something people even like in Thundercats fandom. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if people liked them. I liked them. If that is how the Thundercats are in their show or in their books or in their continuity, I'm on board. I needed that one crossover event to show me what the Thundercats were. I needed something to get me in. And the Masters of the Universe Thundercats comic book crossover showed me some characters that I honestly liked a lot. I got into them. I enjoyed watching them fight the Skeletor Mumra, and I enjoyed the way that Mumra was depicted, and I got a real feel for kind of how that bad guy works and how Skeletor kind of works against him but with him and things like that. And I really enjoyed seeing Lion-O and He-Man work together, and something about it felt right. Like, it just did, man. I really enjoyed that book a lot. I'm not kidding. I think that book is utterly fantastic. If you haven't read it, I would suggest it. And then maybe you could tell me if their depiction inside of that book was fair to them and was solid representation. But if it wasn't, I bought these because of that comic book. Literally. I'm on board for that. Also, because of that comic book, I went to Walmart and I bought the entire series. I bought the box set. So, when I finished what I am currently watching, I will be going back to see that show. Because I am interested in seeing the Thundercats. I know their theme song. Their theme song rocks hard. It rocks hard enough that I like that theme song, and I've never watched an episode. So I gotta give it to them, man. I gotta give it to them. That comic sold me on the idea. These toys sold me on it even further. Because there's something else I want to bring up about these figures before we get into it. These figures are a saving grace. I got the look in. And currently, right now, if you are a Thundercats fan, you have one choice. Super 7, that's it. We have talked about Super 7 on this show multiple times. And I still hold true to what I have said about Super 7 on this show multiple times. Guys, Super 7 is overpriced for what they ask, what they give. This is Conan the Barbarian. This is a Super 7 figure. I like Conan the Barbarian. I know that shocks you. I love Conan the Barbarian. He's possibly my favorite fictional character ever. But this figure is okay. It's okay. It has single-jointed knees. It has single-jointed elbows. It has no butterflies. This is built like a Classics. This is built like a Motu Classics body cap. This is built like a DC Classics body cap. From an era of toys that I did not like. I didn't like action figures when they looked like this. He barely got a pass. And only because Conan. I wanted to put a Conan on my shelf. Super 7, I thought I would give them a try. I bought it. I checked it out. I said, hey, I kind of enjoyed King Conan. Let's check him out, right? He's fine. And that's all he is. Fine. And it is that design and that ask of $60 plus per figure that when I started thinking about diving into the Thundercats, I started looking at some figures. I really did. I looked at Rhino and a couple of others. And I kept coming back to the body. And I kept saying, I don't want to pay $65 for that. Like, I want a Rhino on the shelf, and it really does interest me to do so, but, like, I don't want to pay $65 for that. And I couldn't bring myself to do it. And I didn't. And then they said, well, Bill, for you, specifically, Bill, and they were talking directly to me in case nobody knows. Super 7 was like, hey, Bill, guess what? And they said, hey, we got this thing. And I said, what do you got, Super 7? And they said, at Target right now, you can go there and you can get a lesser version, like it's not painted as well or whatever, but I don't think it'll bother you because it'll sit in a more comfortable price range. It's only about like $35. And I said, half the price of your regular thing? Let me go see him. So I went, and I saw that Rhino at Target. And now, the body cap at $30 makes me feel like, okay, well, I'm a little more okay with that. But then I looked at his paint job. No. Like, Super 7, I see things from them all the time that make me go, oh, that's cool. But it's overpriced. Now, keep in mind, Super 7, for anybody that's real mad that I just crapped all over Super 7, Super 7 made my favorite Ninja Turtles on the shelf. My favorite Ninja Turtles are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate Collection from Super 7. They're on the shelf. I literally have a video called TMNT Grail because they are the ones I wanted the most. Of any turtle I have ever seen, those Super 7 figures I wanted on the shelf. But there's so much I cannot justify when it comes to Super 7. And I know I'm not alone, because I know a bigger Thundercats fan than me. The kind of Thundercats fan that buys a Thundercats lair. Like the giant one that just came out, the amazing one that came out. He bought it, and I seen it, and I said, holy crap, that is sick. And even he calls out Super 7 all the time. So I know it's not just me that feels a certain way about this. And finally, because of this crossover, you now have another Thundercat choice. Here's a Rhino, here's a Cheetara. And we definitely have to open them, because while they do have a Motu crossover look about them, you know how my show works. By the time I get to a figure, everybody's already reviewed and talked about this. So I'm not dropping big bombs of knowledge that you didn't know. But I think the coolest thing about these figures is that while Rhino looks like this, okay, this is a Motu crossover Rhino. He comes with the parts to make him the original basic Rhino. And she the same. She comes with the parts to turn her into the basic Cheetara. That, if these look good, that is the absolute win. Because at a 5.5 scale, with a lot of other figures that are coming out that look like Motu Origins, you could put these guys in and mix them with a ton of barbarians. And that I'm interested in. So, I know that was a lot, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this subject, because I gotta get you to understand where I am with my Thundercats lore of knowledge, interest, design, and how I think about these companies and whatnot. There's a lot to discuss. Okay, I get it. That was a long intro. Sometimes the show does that. Let's open these. Okay, wow, that was a lot just to get one guy out of there. Like, it took a lot to get him out of there. So, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to check him out. This is Lion-O, if he existed, for Masterverse. If there was a full Masterverse crossover. He's got the fuzzy boots. I kind of like that. He's got the armor thing right here with the Thundercats symbol. I like that a lot, actually. He's got this really cool Eternia frickin', you know, the Eternia. That's cool. So the lion armor, I think, is cool. He's got this headpiece right here for face guard and whatnot. I think that's cool. And he's still got that lion fist thing. It's not the classic look of the fist thing. I am noticing that. I could see it. I can look right at it, and I can be like, that's not exactly what I remember from any of his artwork or anything like that, even with the little amount that I know. But I would argue it's passable. It's passable. Maybe not to everybody, but to me, it feels like it's passable. I think this look, in general, is very solid. I think it works. I think that's good. I really do. However, he does come with enough parts to turn him into the classic version. So, we are going to do just that. But before we do so, here is the Thundercat sword. It's a solid sword. And it's got the Thundercat logo there, and then it's got this eye on the back here. So you could choose whatever style of sword you want. I imagine some people are probably mad about that. Because I know one is from... It's weird that I even know this. I really shouldn't know this, but I know one is from, like, the original era, and one is from, like, a different era or whatever of Thundercats in general. I don't know why I know that, but, like, I feel like I know that information. And maybe that makes some people irritated, but I like the idea that you kind of get both, and both of them look really cool. And to a layman, when you're going to pose them on your shelf or anything, you're only going to show one side anyway. So, like, I don't think that it really matters that much. But maybe to some people, it's a big deal. I don't know. So, first thing we are going to do, so we're going to pull the foot off. And then we are going to remove the boots. There we go. Boots are off. And then we're going to put these boots on. Oh, okay. I see they got a little thing inside here. I know you can't see it, but it says like left. So that's good. So I know that this is the right boot. And we're going to put it here on the right. And then we're going to put the left boot on. And then we're going to put the feet on, which they have little markings too inside the feet. That's actually really cool and really helpful. You got to give them that. Like, that's impressive that they would have gone through that level of detail, knowing that you were going to be asked to take these things apart. They went out of their way to make sure that you could easily put them back together and put them back together correctly, that you would not have a tough time doing that or whatever. We're going to pull the arm, because this armor we're going to slip off. Ooh, it really... There we go. Come on. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I did not drop it. I did not drop it. Okay. The head, the hair pops off. That kind of surprised me. I wasn't exactly expecting that this is a 5.5 old style figure, and it has the hair pieces that come off. That's crazy. Like, it really does shock me. And then, of course, because this is an old figure, we're just going to slide it right off like that. I do like this armor a lot, though. And then, I actually don't know, but that I don't think is supposed to be there. And it's a floating piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pop it and take it off. And then we're going to put the actual hair on him. And then we're going to put the sword in his hand. And now we have a 5.5 scale Rhino. We have him. He's right here. This is solid. I'm going to be honest with you. To me, as an 80s toy in general, this looks right. This looks like what a lot of people wanted years ago. They wanted this figure to go with their He-Man. Like, and here he is, man. And you could do either version and be happy. I honestly think that. You could do either version and be happy. He's solid. You could easily do this version and have the classic on your shelf. And to show that he can do it, he can put the sword in front of himself like this. And it's a little tougher to angle. Did I just get it? Look at that. I got his eyes through there. You can get that shot. That's impressive. These aren't butterflies, but they, as you see, they actually do go in and out. Like they have a little more movement than you would expect them to have, in all honesty, especially for a toy at this range. It's impressive. This is good. Like, the retro version of this guy is solid. I would argue he's easy to put together. He looks good. I just dropped his sword. He'll match up very well with He-Man and every other character that you have that fits in this scale, including, by the way, an upcoming Red Sonja, and we're talking from Epic Hacks. They're entering this 5.5 scale right here. Figures built just like this that have a Conan and a Red Sonja coming out. I'm going to be able to put He-Man, Conan, Red Sonja, Cheetara, all the Thundercats, Rhino, all together and have them fight Skeletors. And they like, this is crazy. This is crazy. So cool. I am legit impressed. This is well done. You know, that is my very first ever Thundercat figure. And I would argue he's really good. Let's check her out now. I messed up. Minor thing. Minor thing. We got to pull the body, because he does actually come with an overlay for the belt. So, ooh. It's tough, though. It feels like it's really tough to get on there. Oh, it's really tough. I don't even know if I can do it. Can I get him? No, he can't. That's going to be even rougher. He does have a belt. I wish this was a lot more malleable than it is. Because I'm sure of how it's supposed to go. But you can never say my show isn't 100% live. See this? See that? That comes off. So then you can just like slip the belt on there. See how that works? See how easy it is when you're not stupid? See how it works? And then see when you're not a derp. There's the belt. I feel about stupid, but I mean I guess I figured it out. And then you can actually take this gauntlet off if you wanted and hang it on the belt, kind of like it does in the show. Why do I know weird things about it? Like, I've never seen any of it, but like I know weird little pieces of information that I feel like I shouldn't know. And then he has the expression hand, which you can then put on here. And there you go. Let's open her. Okay. Now, with Cheetara... Oh, let me fix that. You've got a pretty good armor here. You've got a decent face. I actually like this right here. I like the armor in general. I like the designs that they gave for the Thundercat reimaginings. I think this is actually done very, very, very well. I like this, the symbol up here. I like the symbol here. I like the chest armor. I like this flap. She's done very well. I'm actually very impressed with how they ran these figures. I wouldn't mind having either version of them on my shelf. For the sake of, I'm getting these under the context of wanting classic look on the shelf. But I don't hate these designs at all. And there's something to be said for that, to be fair. So, she does come with her weapon. And she does come with this thing here, which does actually teach me something about the Thundercats that I did not know. She has a type of thing where it's kind of like a power pole. I mean, that's what I'm assuming is going on here. She takes that off and then it extends into this. That was a fact that I did not know. But I'm pretty sure, looking at the toy, I think that's what they're indicating here, is that that stays there. She pulls it off and then it becomes a big, long bow staff. That's my guess. If it's not like that, it should be like that, because that's where my imagination took me, and that's where I want it to be now. so yeah, there you go. And then, just like the other figure, we are going to... I think she may be a little more complicated, but I think we should be able to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the boots, and then we're going to... That's the left. Okay. And then this is the right. Yes. Okay. It's hard for me to tell exactly what's going on there, but not terrible. This is the left. Oh my. Little more. Oh, I see. Oh no. Don't lose that. Don't lose that. It'll be bad for your figure, I'm sure. Her feet are more difficult than his to get back into place, I'm noticing, but we did it. We did it. There it is. So it's not like we can't do it. It's just more difficult to do than his were. His were a lot more simple, but her feet are like tiny, so there's just like more resistance, it feels, in getting her feet to pop on the same way. So it's probably a good thing that this is the only time I really want to do this. So there's that. Now, in terms of getting her armor off, I think I know how that works. I think we're going to pop the head, and then we're going to pull the arm out of each socket. And then I'm thinking the armor can lift off of her, maybe? Or does it pull down? It pulls down. Okay, so to take the armor off, we pull the body, pull the arms, and pull the armor straight down, and there it is. And that's a really cool armor. I mean, that is really cool. So then we put the body back on, put the arm back in place here, put that arm back in place here. And can I just say that I like this design where, like, she has the spandex on one part, but then she has, like, the exposed arm on the other. And if this doesn't go there, I'm leaving it on there anyway, because I actually like this bracelet thing. It just, like, feels right now, and that's all I really care about. So then we're going to pop the head back on, and we're going to remove the hair, because I assume she works just like he did. Oh my, I lost the hair. Hold on, let me find it. I got it. There it is. Then there's her other hair, which has the spots, which I actually think that's kind of cool. And then, oh my, is that how that hair goes on? That doesn't seem right. Oh, I think I got it. I think her hair was more difficult than his hair. But I think I got it. I am not, as we talked about, any kind of expert in Thundercats, so I don't really know. But that's her. As far as I could tell, that's right. I think I got the hair on and everything correctly. I think she has that short kind of hair. It's kind of like a middle hair. And she's got that symbol right there on the chest, which is cool. I like the Thundercats symbol for what it is. And just to put it out there, she is for running, right? I would argue that she already has a better running pose than I saw on the Super 7 figures. Because I saw the Super 7 figures and how they were looking when they were running. We kind of turn her body a little bit. Draw that back. There. She's running. You might not think that's a big deal. Go look at that Super 7 figure. Put it in a running pose. Put it in a running pose. Because I've seen it. And it looks bad. Like, it looks bad. It can't do it. Its articulation is not good enough to pull it off. And then she has the bow staff. And she's going to look real cool alongside Teela. Like, those are my first ever Thundercats figures. They're simple. They're really cool, though. Like, I think it's good. I think it's very good. I think this is my gateway in. I've been worried about the Super 7 thing for a long time. And I don't like it. But if this is the quality that I'm going to get, and it's going to fit a line of figures that I have already, and it's going to allow me to do some photography and whatnot, I can have them fighting outside of a Castle Grayskull. Like, this is cool. It really is. I think they did a stand-up job. I got to congratulate them on this one. This is the way it's done right here. And what I mean is because, like, if you saw them, what they did with the Ninja Turtles, one of the things about the Ninja Turtles, I get that we have 100 Ninja Turtles. We have 1,000 Ninja Turtles. We can always get Ninja Turtles that look like normal Ninja Turtles. But, like, you were stuck with the idea that it was Donatello Man-at-Arms. And that's what it was. And you couldn't do anything else with it. It was Leonardo He-Man. And that's cool. I did videos on all of these, and I liked all of them. But you couldn't actually make them be just the Turtles. You couldn't revert them in any way. And none of them actually had shells that were attached, which I actually don't like. They were like shields that you could, like, take off. I didn't like that at all. They work, but I was always a little bothered by them. Now, they do the Thundercats line. And they're like, we know that you want actual 5.5 Thundercats. But we also know that because of what this is, we want to see what they would be like in a more Motu setting. So they give us cool armor and extra hair swap pieces and things like that. Stuff that I would never expect to see in a 5.5 $20 figure. This is a $20 figure. These are $20 figures. Their paint is solid. Their look is solid. Their movement for the kind of thing that they're supposed to be. Because let's keep in mind what they are. They're supposed to be updated articulation, but they're still supposed to kind of feel like toys you would have bought back in the 80s if you were still buying these toys, right? And they hit that exactly. But for 20 bucks, they come with armor. They come with extra belts. They come with swappable boots. They come with hair pieces. They come with swappable hands. They come with floating pieces. They come with weapons. They come very well painted for what they are. This is impressive. I'm impressed. Good job. Like, great job. Fantastic job. You're not going to look at those figures. You're not going to look at these figures and tell me that Motu is in a bad spot. If they went out of their way to be this good with these figures, then Origins is a line that is still kicking tail. Because you don't see a line that's dying put this kind of effort into anything. This is impressive. I can't wait to get an entire Thundercats team. Like, I'm looking forward to it. Like, legit. And that is crazy, because I have, as we went over it, I have no association with them. And I'm excited to put them on the shelf. Okay, let's hit up the chat here, because there was stuff going down, and that was long. I know, that was a long one. Speaking of articulation, I consider until Origin figures should be the standard for every figure on the female side. The male side of Origins is too bulky to move good. I can kind of see that with Origins, but because of what Origins is trying to do, what they're trying to be, it doesn't bother me, because the He-Man was like that. And he moves 1,000% better than he did back when he first came out. So they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They made a figure that still looks like it came out in the 80s, modernized for today's standards, and I think it works very well. I pretty much love all of Origins that I've owned and seen. Me, when I see someone's collection and they have 4 HasLab Sentinels and 2 HasLab Galactus. Dude, I know. And you're like, what? Yes. Dude, she's cool, man. I did a comparison between Gamer vs. Wolverine height. He's just bigger, more muscular, not necessarily taller. He's generally the same height. Okay. All right. And when I get him, I'll of course look into how I feel about him. That's kind of what I said to one comment when he was trying to argue with me about the new Peacemaker. It's DC and James Gunn puts disgusting thing in... What? And kids will see me. The show is not for kids. Oh. Well, that's... Look, I thought that was like something DC or Warner Brothers or something said they can't do guns or something. I can't remember. There's some sort of stipulation going through all that stuff. You don't have to have a reason to buy action figures as long as they look cool and you like them. Yeah, but I do have a very hard collection rule that I've stuck to my entire life in terms of collecting. I'm not interested in like finishing lines or anything. If the item doesn't mean anything to me, if it doesn't speak to me somehow, if it does come into the collection, it won't be long before you'll see me doing one of those shorts where I'm like, it's gone. Because I'm constantly moving things in and out of the collection depending on where I am, how I feel, what speaks to me, and what doesn't quite work with me. Like everything in here has to have a story, a reason, or it's gone. Some angry Thundercats fan. You didn't watch Rabble Shakes Fist. I'll have to read that Motu Thundercats crossover, humming the theme song in my head. I only have 5 Super 7 Ultimate figures. Not sure if I've said this, but for its price, I'm better off buying a Frazetta Icons Norseman Conan, since their prices are almost on par with each other. That's what I'm getting at, yeah. Yeah, exactly. You like Conan, I like Kevin Zorbo Cole. So here's... I haven't seen that, so I can't necessarily say anything about it. But Kevin would have to impress the crap out of me. Like, because he would have to impress the crap out of me. So I was going to get that figure, but the paint job said... there was no way. Family Guy reference there. Cole doesn't get enough love, sadly, since he's more or less similar to his descendant. Also, his only current figure out right now is from Super 7, which we have, actually. We have that. He has been added to the show. Super 7 just hasn't won. And he's actually the last item in the Super 7 category. And it might be a very long time before Super 7 makes it back into the show. I might want one. What say you, Bill? I'll always remember Kevin Sorbo as Hercules, whose head got caved in by Kratos. It's okay. It's okay. I can without it. I don't like Super 7, and something tells me it's the one from the actual book, not Kevin Sorbo. No, it's not the Kevin. It's the one from the comic books. To be fair, that's the one I would prefer. Just saying. Well, that explains why we don't see Hercules any longer. Actually, Hercules is finally, like, you're starting to see it. I've seen it recently back in sales and whatnot, because they're selling the box set now very affordable at, like, Walmarts and things like that. So you could get it if you wanted. I'm not a big fan of that, and I've talked about it at length in terms of, like, why I preferred Xena over Hercules and how Kevin kind of rubs me the wrong way nowadays anyway with some of the stuff that he said and done. Not crazy like, not the point where I dislike him necessarily, but, like, he's never necessarily ever been one of my all-time favorite actors, and, like, now I don't really pay attention to much of anything that he does, so, like, he wouldn't be a figure I would go out of my way to buy if he was a thing. Sword of Omens, not crazy, it's freaking awesome. Thundercats are on the move. Oh my gosh. So far so good. What a turnaround from the She-Ra disaster. Oh my god. Yeah, dude, she was so bad. That She-Ra bites my soul, dude. She comes with a stick? Right. Dude, that She-Ra, that is the most disappointing Motu thing I have ever opened, is that She-Ra. You won't make me pay $60 for that She-Ra. I'd rather pay for Savage Crucible He-Man. Who-Man instead. I hear you on that. I would not buy that She-Ra if it was the only figure in the aisle, and I don't even collect Motu at the moment. I hated that the Turtles of Grayskull line turned into turtleized He-Man characters rather than Ninja Turtles characters Motuized. The second half of the line, we got new turtle characters. So there's an scene in the Peacemaker Season 2 premiere. I'm whatever about it. Yeah, I don't care. I don't watch Peacemaker. And if it's on HBO, I don't consider it to be a kid's show anyway, so I don't know what any of the argument's about. Fun fact, Lucy Lawless played the punk chick in the street interview montage on Raimi's. Yeah, she's the one that specifically says, guy with 8 hands. Sounds hot. Yeah, dude, I love her. I love her. I do. I think Lucy is fantastic all the time. So I'm so in tune with her. I love her. Which She-Ra bites your soul. It'll be out. I'm working on the chapters. All of these videos, once we're done, I download them, and in my free time, I turn them into bite-sized videos for, like, the parts that matter, like adding this to the shelf, talking about this topic, having this argument, giving this discussion, and I break those into segments, and then I post them in the video playlists. You'll see it eventually. It made me sad face. The people that were here for that stream, they saw it. It made me sad face. What's going on, man? You showed up at the, like, literally at the end No new turtle characters, none at all. It annoyed me. Yeah, so that's it for today. We did open a good amount of figures, but we're going on 3 hours, and in order to keep these at a point where they run well and we hang out and I can actually edit the footage later, I need to keep them at 3 hours, because when I edit, I don't mess around with my edits. I actually watch the entire thing back and find the parts that I feel that I can use and everything. So a 3-hour stream means I've got to sit through 3 hours of editing, which becomes 5 hours of editing, depending, give or take, what you've got to add or take away or move or add. So that's the way that it is. So I'm not staying too much longer, but this was a pretty good one. So far, this stream, we saw the Rhino, which he's an old figure, but he's good. Like, if we're just being honest about what he is, he has his problems because he's an older figure. He definitely needs a redesign. He needs an updated buck, but we're not getting that anytime soon that I'm aware of, so this guy will be perfect for the shelf. I'm not mad about it at all. We also opened Jade, which is cool. So since we got Jade, that's really solid. That also means that now I'm going to have to go out of my way, however, and I've got to get Jay Garrick and Alan Scott. I've got to. We also checked out Bizarro, and we opened 2 Thundercats. It was a solid stream. I think we did well. I think we opened up some cool stuff. I think it worked out. We got a couple talking points and everything. Good show. Good show. I'm happy with this one. And yes, Lucy Lawless was Wonder Woman. Was it in the... Is that New Frontier? Is that where she played it? I do remember. I love the fact that she played Wonder Woman. I always thought that would have been very solid. I mean, she was already kind of doing it back then, but of course there was no spot for like a Wonder Woman movie back then when she was doing, you know, Xena and stuff like that. But I feel like she would have rocked it, man. Ground Chuck would have been perfect for Turtles of Grayskull. Just reuse the Andra buck and armor. I'll catch the replay. All right, man. Yeah, absolutely, dude. You can't, dude. If anybody doesn't know what he's talking about, that's a band that I like a lot that nobody seems to know. It's called Buzzhorn, and they do an awesome song called Cannot Stop the Rhino, and it's really, really good. I like it a lot. And every time I see the Rhino or anything like that, I immediately think of that song. Jade, not fire. Yeah, I got it right this time. Yep, New Frontier. Loved Lucy in Ash vs. Evil Dead. Dude, I love Lucy's so fucking... She's so cool, man. She's so good. Okay, I do got to get out of here. Thank you guys for hanging out. And we will be back next Wednesday to open more toys, talk more fandom, and just plain hang out. It can be tough to get to the end of the week. I hope this helps. Later on, guys.